Welcome back to the Charlie Cook Cricket Podcast. Now, we had the biggest game in cricket today. England versus the West Indies at the Oval, the third ODI in a complete dead rupper that was rain affected, and West Indies couldn't even be bothered to turn up on time for. Forget what happened in India today. We're not even talking about that today. England complete the series sweep over West Indies. They do it in a dominant fashion. Joe today, we're going to go through the game. A couple of things we liked, a couple of things we don't like. And what is kind of moving forward for this England white ball setup. We've obviously got the T20s versus West Indies coming up. Then there's a South African white ball series. Then we're in Ireland for a white ball series. Then it's New Zealand for a white ball series. And then T20 World Cup. So we'll talk a bit about that and see how this team is going to face up before then. Starting off though, Joe, is arriving by line bike the coolest way to arrive for an international cricket game?
Definitely up there. I mean, it was innovative, a creative way to get to the ground, and it's made for some kind of funny clips on social media on it. So, yeah, and obviously the traffic was, I believe, bad in and around the Oval across London, I believe. Hence why West Indies were late, and obviously England would have been late if they'd not obviously line biked to the ground. So, yeah, creative, and it is what it is. I guess it's something that probably is going to be one of them things that in 10 years, 5 years, like, do you remember England line bike to the Oval that time for England West Indies? Just kind of funny, quirky thing to happen, isn't
it? I don't know if you've seen the video, but there's a video of them actually like scanning the QR code to unlock the line bike.
I've seen that actually, yeah.
Josh Butler looks so old doing it. Like, he genuinely looks about 55. It's imagine how I'd imagine my dad would unlock a line bike. It was very kind of looking over, index finger on the phone. He's asked one of the younger lads to do it for him. It didn't look the most natural thing in the world. I thought it was a good laugh, and it wouldn't be if this was football. Could you imagine the Arsenal team being stuck in traffic and then having to arrive in line bikes? It just wouldn't happen. You wouldn't see it. It wouldn't. No. Cricket is the only possible sport where this could happen, and you just think, "Oh yeah, that's it."
Funny, it's just so funny, and that's the thing. That probably nothing we're ever going to see again. So, yeah, it's very.
And it was probably the highlight of the game. I mean, it was relatively dull. For most of it. I mean, England won convincingly in the end and probably could have chased down 500 given the full 50 over allotted time. We did lose some overs to rain, 10 aside. I thought the rain was going to hang around for a lot longer than it did, so I think we were probably lucky to get a game in. West Indies put on 251 for 9. That was then reduced to 246 for the Duckworth-Lewis total. Still won't ever understand that. Shafane Rutherford, top scorer with 70, anchored the innings really well. And it was Moti and Alzari Joseph that put on a partnership towards the end that they really needed, being 154 for 7 when Rutherford got out to get them up to what could have been a defendable total. The pitch looks pretty good. I think if West Indies would have bowled better, then maybe this game picked up early wickets like they did in the last game. Maybe we have a closer game like we did in the second game. What did you think of the West Indies batting?
Patchy. I think there was obviously some good parts. I think Casey Carty, obviously, I know he didn't kind of kick off. His dismissal was really quite disappointing. Obviously, that kind of floaty, loopy ball from Rashid that he dragged onto his stumps. But again, I thought he was really impressive. And he's been sensational. I assume it will have dropped now, but before today, he's averaging just above 50 in ODI cricket. He's been fantastic for the West Indies. The same I've got to say about Shafane Rutherford. For me, he is one of the best white ball all-rounders right now. I mean, I know obviously he didn't bowl today, but just generally speaking, I think he's fantastic. His form in 50 over cricket in particular is just sensational, and I do think he's kind of worth looking for. Worth looking at for a test spot as well for the West Indies. I think that would be quite a good move. He's not necessarily got the best first-class record. He's not played the most first-class cricket, but they were kind of highlighting on Sky his kind of like defensive ability, or I should say his defensive technique is a better way of phrasing that, and how well he defends the ball, how well like the kind of interception point with which he defends the ball. He's not kind of reaching out in front. He's definitely kind of like play the ball late under his eyes, and it's such a good kind of foundation. I think he'd make a really good 5-6 in that West Indies Test side. So I really hope he gets kind of considered. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but I think he'd make a great addition to that team. And yeah, like I say, patchy is probably the best word. I mean, Guda Moti is someone who has always kind of got that ability to go and get 30s with the bat, kind of at 8, 9, and can occasionally kick on, kind of like what Stuart Broad was like a little bit in his career. A bit like Adil Rashid, someone like that. And I think today he batted very well. I think he kind of, the situation favoured him. He was able to kind of chance his arm a little bit. Obviously, got out to a very good slow ball by Matty Potts, but I think that kind of, the way he went about that innings right the way throughout was really good, and just was able to kind of chance his arm, as I say, striking it well over 100. It was a really good inning. So, yeah, I think the West Indies overall will be disappointed. I think they'll be disappointed overall with their batting in the series. They didn't actually manage to bat out a full 50 overs or full allotment once, apart from today, and obviously Motigar on the last ball as well, which is kind of a bit of a dent in that, I guess. But yeah, I think they'll be a little bit disappointed with their batting, but I think again today there was glimpses of the abilities that the players have in their squad.
Yeah, I think Sky talked about it a little bit. It was a case of there's probably like 3 or 4 players that you're worried about scoring runs against you, whereas to be a good side, you really need 5 or 6. Without saying that England have turned it all around and all of a sudden they're a good team now, you do have Duckett, Smith, Root, Brook, Butler, Bethel, Jacks, all players that you've got to worry about and can score runs on their day. There's a couple in that West Indies lineup that you're just thinking, am I expecting too much from Evan Lewis, Brandon King, Justin Greaves?
I do think that there's a couple of players who will come back into that side, or hopefully will. I really hope Nicholas Pooran has an ODI future. Like, I'm not sure. He's obviously someone who's very in demand with franchise leagues, so I really hope he's got like an ODI future. Jason Holder in kind of like a similar vein. I know obviously more of a bowler, but still someone in that kind of bracket. And then Joel Andrew obviously didn't play today, didn't really have the best series, but he's someone who I think is a sensational talent. You obviously have seen him as well, like I have in the CPL, and he's just a sensational talent. So I felt very kind of bad for him that he had to open the batting in Cardiff. That's not his role. He's a middle order player. Pretty sure that's the first. I read that's the first time he's ever opened in professional cricket. So I'm really excited to see him when he kind of eventually settles down into that middle order. Kind of see him kick on, because there are some players I think in the next couple of years, if they kind of come into the side like Pooran, Joel Andrew, once he's kind of got a bit more experience behind him, they're also players we can kind of expect to score runs. The kind of Casey Carty, Shai Hope, obviously got a golden duck today, but not normally like him. Shafir Rutherford, and then add Andrew Pooran to that list. Shimron Hetmeyer maybe as well. These kind of guys who hopefully West Indies can rely on a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, it's that franchise cricket problem that has plagued the West Indies for the last 10, 15 years, isn't it? I mean, I've just gone to look at Shafane Rutherford's stats and counted up how many teams he's played for. Would you like to have a guess about how many teams he's played for? He's 26 years of age.
28?
26.
Oh, that was not a bad guess. That was not a bad guess. Wow.
He's played,
That's
for,
outrageous.
he's played for 6 different IPL teams already.
That's outrageous. Yeah, I
Um,
mean that's the thing. Like keeping, I think that's what they've done well with Joel Andrew, is giving him that exposure to international cricket already. Is quite good, because it's easy for someone like Joel Andrew, who's a very hyped up prospect, and I think the same kind of goes for Jaden Seals a few years back as well. Very hyped up prospects. They've exposed them to international cricket early, kind of showing almost what the West Indies, or playing for the West Indies, can offer. I'm sure they obviously know that, but kind of giving them a taste of it and making them want that. I suppose is quite a good kind of step forward in a way for the West Indies. And they've got an exciting project. I know obviously they struggled in the series, but they have got an exciting project with a really good head coach in Darasami and some really good players who, as I say, if they can kind of reel the likes of Pooran, Holder back into ODI cricket, maybe Test cricket as well, then that does make for quite an exciting project. So
yeah, and a really difficult team to beat at home as well. They might not be as good as away from home. I think they're a really good white ball side at home. I mean, we saw it in the series against England. We saw it in the T20 World Cup. I just think they're a really good side when they're playing at home, and that form will come. In terms of the England bowling, I thought it was relatively poor today, I have to admit. That same old problem of not being able to bowl the tail out. The figures don't look terrible. Adil Rashid's a pick of the bowlers, a 3 for 40 as he always is. Mahmood goes for 6 and over. Cast goes for 7 and over. Potts 6 and over. Will Jack 6.5. Bethel 7. Those seam bowlers, especially, just haven't quite hit the ground running. I've been impressed by Mahmood, but Potts, Cast, Atkinson, just haven't quite done it this series.
I don't think there's enough seam bowlers in that, kind of on the field essentially. I think there's that 3-3 split, or you can even argue 3-4 split, including route of spin to seam, is maybe not doing the seamers any favors because they've got to bowl all their overs. We spoke about that the other week, I think, about how if they bowl badly, they still have to bowl. And I just think that kind of balance in the team is a little bit off at the minute. Perhaps Ben Stokes is the answer, looking further forward to 2027. But obviously, that's like a whole other kettle of fish in terms of does he want to, which I'm sure he does. He loves playing for England, but then, is he physically able to? How's his injuries looking, kind of thing. So perhaps they're just like kind of an all-rounder, genuine all-rounder away. I thought Will Jack spoke quite well today. I was quite impressed with him. I thought he looked quite dangerous. There was, I think it was when he was bowling to Moti, obviously left-hander. I thought Jack looked pretty dangerous there. I thought obviously Rashid bowled well. Like those two are probably the kind of, I guess, standout bowlers. Obviously Jack's went wicketless, but again I thought he bowled pretty well. I think Mahmood's had a good series, bar the first kind of 3 overs in Cardiff, where he did just kind of his line of length was a little bit off. I'm a huge fan of Mahmood, obviously, Lancs player, so I'm kind of naturally going to be a little bit more biased and want to see him do well. But I genuinely think he's a very, very good player. And yeah, Cast has obviously not long been back from an injury. Potts hasn't played that much cricket recently. He's kind of just been discarded for some reason by England. And there are people on the fringes who I'd love to see get a go. I really wish Luke would have got a game. For me, it'd have been ideal. I'd have loved to see Tom Hartley get a game as well. Again, 2 Lions players. Call me biased, but I just think those 2 guys, giving them the chance to play in international cricket, would have been such a good opportunity for them. But yeah, maybe just to see him a light on this occasion.
Yeah, there is a rather large Ben Stokes hole in this team, isn't there? It's going back to what we talked about in the Champions Trophy. It's going back to what we talked about in previous ODI series of they're just a seam bowling all-rounder, and there just isn't a good enough white ball one in county cricket at the moment to say, yeah, he needs to be in the squad now. I just don't see. I mean, if you're looking to county cricket, who's the next up in white ball cricket?
That's the thing I'm trying to think off the top of my head. And no one immediately springs to mind. Maybe
if it's red ball cricket, it's probably slightly easier. You look to a George Hill or something like
that's
that.
What I was George Hill, but again, obviously, like he's not played a great deal of white ball cricket. He doesn't get into Yorkshire's T20 sides. Of course, the other issue is the fact that there's no 50-over cricket played in England, and this is an issue we come back to so many times. And I don't want to kind of sound like I'm kind of like a broken record or something, but it does feel like that is a bit of an issue.
It's an interesting cap to wear while making that issue.
Well, you're right, actually. That is very true. But I don't know what the solution to that is. I was thinking about this the other day, and I think more Lions games, 50-over Lions games, 5 a summer or something is good. And if you're really that desperate, field kind of 2 teams against each other. If there's nobody willing to put an A side out, Australia A might not want to play England Lions in a 50-over series, but then field two 50-over teams against each other, England North, England South, whatever you want to call it. They did that a few years ago back in the Caribbean. I think they did one in the UAE as well, I believe, going back quite a number of years, like way before COVID. And that was quite a cool thing, but that was while the 50-over competition was still kind of a big thing. So that's maybe something interesting to consider. I just think there's something that needs to be done to amp up the number of 50-over games being played for people, at least on the fringes of England. Forget those kind of coming through, at least those on the fringes of England. Batters, all-rounders, spinners, seamers, whoever. I think it's important everyone plays. So, yeah, I think that could definitely be done with a look. It doesn't have to be in the summer either. It can be over the winter. Go and play it in a hot country somewhere over the winter. Go and play in South Africa. Also, that's where the next World Cup is. South Africa, they might want a series. You never know. They're obviously playing against the West Indies right now, so they're obviously keen to develop their up and coming players as well. So I just think things like that are really worth a look for England.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of the England batting, it was a complete and utter walk in the park, this chase. Jamie Smith set the tone, 64 off 28, striking at 230 in an ODI is just ridiculous. Him doing it on his home ground. Ben Duckett 58, Joe Root 44, Harry Brook 26, and Josh Butler 41 off 20. I mean, this game was over when Jamie Smith decided to go nuts, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, really like that from Jamie Smith. I think that was exactly what Brook and McCullum kind of identified, I guess, or kind of reading between the lines. I feel like that's what they kind of saw. Maybe not that kind of attacking. He obviously, as you say, struck it well over 200. 64 of 28 is extraordinary in a T20. To do it in a 50 over game is on another level. So maybe, he kind of took it to the extreme in terms of how aggressive he batted, but I thought he was fantastic. And the fact that he has that ability to just take it from kind of 0 to 60 in a few deliveries, if you like, is just a fantastic kind of element to his game. He's able to score all around the ground, and I thought he was unlucky at Edgbaston as well. The catch that got him out was spectacular. I can't actually remember who took it now. I want to say it was Brandon King, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think it might have been.
Yeah, and that was a spectacular catch, like short, sharp reflexes. And that was a game where I was watching Smith thinking, he could go and get something really big here. And he's kind of taken that to the Oval and done that. So it's a maiden ODI 50, a brilliant way to get there. And yeah, I tell you what, Smith on that post shot that he hit for 6 was so good. Like that was one of the cleanest shots we saw today. So really good from Smith, and really showed that reasoning, I guess, why, or kind of backing up why Baz and Brook have kind of put him in that opening role. That's exactly what he can do.
Yeah, I was really impressed with him today. Again, it felt slightly like he gave his wicket away a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a bit of a swipe, I guess.
Yeah, big heave across the line to the spinner after you've already taken him for what, 20 off the over, was it?
Yeah, something like that.
Again, it's like if he gets out the ball previous, and it's like, okay, you've got 14 off the over. You don't need to hit that shot, but he hits that shot for 6, so you praise that shot for 6. If he hits the one he gets out for 6, and you think, wow, Jamie Smith's just taken him for 26 off the over, and it's such a weird thing, and they were so ahead of the game that I just don't think it was a massive issue. Looking ahead, obviously this is the first series that we've had under Harry Brook officially. Happy with the way the team's going?
Yeah, I think it's shaping up pretty nicely. As we said, there's kind of a couple of areas like getting an extra seamer in there, extra seam bowling around it is important. I don't know who they'd replace. It feels like Jax's spot is probably the most likely, but I like Jax in that number 7 role. Maybe they could kind of take a gamble and not pick Butler, but after today's innings, I don't think that's happening. Not personally what I would do either, because you're not thinking they're going to drop Bethel. Obviously, not going to drop Brook, Root, Duckett, and then Smith's pretty safe at the top of the order now. So that's quite interesting as to who they pick there. But I think it's shaping up nicely. I think you can see the identity being stamped. Brooks said he wants to play aggressive cricket. He wants his bats to go and play with intent. And I think we've seen that in a different way to what we saw in the Champions Trophy. And maybe it's because they're more comfortable batting in England. Obviously, home conditions know them the best. But I definitely think we've seen that attacking aggressive approach in a more measured way than what we saw in the Champions Trophy. I know, obviously, you just said about Smith throwing his wicket away. You could argue Duckett and Root to an extent even did that today, I guess. But that I feel like they've been better at keeping wickets than they were in the Champions Trophy, and that's a really good step forward for this Baz Brook kind of unit, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I'm impressed with them. I think they need to sort the seam bowling out. I think that there's a bit of work to do there. Again, at times could be a little bit more sensible with the bat, depending on the situation. I don't mind anyone throwing their wicket away when we need 95 off 28 overs.
It didn't bother me today. Like I didn't think that. Like I didn't see Root Sky or post shot. Well, you can't really criticize Root at all anyway. But you know what I mean. Like I didn't see that and think, oh, what have you done that for? Now we're behind the chase. Like it is what it is. Like it didn't bother me. But just I guess playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I mean, if Root would have done that in the previous game and gets out for 30 and we're 150 for 6, then
Yeah,
I'm really pissed off about it.
yeah,
When we're, what were we, 150, 200 for 2 when he
yeah.
did it, with after 25 overs with another 15 overs and 40 to get. I'm not worried about it. Just
No, no,
it's not a massive issue.
yeah.
So no, really like this England team. Really impressed with them. Go on to the T20 starting on Friday. I want to say it's Friday.
I actually don't know off the top of my head,
I
but it's
think it.
soon. There's
Yeah.
actually just one thing I want to add about Root, and that is just the fact that he brought up 21,000 international runs. I just want to kind of raise that, and obviously, we don't need to go over Root's achievements in great detail, but that's an insane achievement. He's
I,
something that's 6,000 clear of Cook in second. So, yeah, ridiculous.
do you know what? It's funny that you said that. Because I was sat watching it. And my wife was sat next to me. She said, "Why is Root so far ahead of all the others?" I was like, "Oh, because he's the best batsman we've ever produced." Like, it's just, that's Joe Root. That's just what he does. I don't like international runs. I just don't like them. I've always seen it as a kind of, this is how I'm going to get Sachin Tendulkar as the best player, or I'm going to get Virat Kohli as the best player, because I'm going to talk about international centuries, and I'm going to count all the ODI series that we play against nations that you've never heard of before. So I don't like international runs. I might like him a little bit more now. Joe Root's performing a little bit better in there. Now it fits my narrative, as I want to do. The T20s do start on Friday, so it'll be 6:30 on Friday, 2:30 on the Sunday, and then 6:30 again on the Tuesday. And then I don't have to think about white ball cricket anymore after that, for a solid 6 weeks. We can concentrate on Test cricket, which everyone cares about. That would be nice. Because I have to admit, I've got a little bit of white ball cricket fatigue. I was thinking about it. I've gone, everything I've covered. It's been after the Border Gavaskar Trophy. It was SA20, Champions Trophy, IPL, PSL. County Championship was fine. Enjoyed that. And then there was like a Zimbabwe test that kind of whetted your appetite a little bit. Then it was like, oh, here's another white ball series. I'm like, oh, don't need to
Of
see
course,
people.
well, the India England bilaterals before the Champions Trophy as
Oh
well.
yeah, I forgot about them. I'd
There's a
erased them
lot.
from
There's
my
a lot.
memory. Um,
It's been a lot. It's been a lot of white ball cricket. I think that's good. It's kind of the breaks come at a good time for England, and hopefully on a positive by beating the West Indies in the T20 series, who will obviously field a very good side. They're always strong in T20 cricket, the West Indies. And yeah, like obviously then we'll focus on the Test stuff, and Brooke, I guess, has to switch his focus as well. But I'm sure there'll be some part of him that's kind of thinking or pondering about the World T20 even this far back, because it's not too far away now, is it? What, 7 months, 8 months away, something like that. So it's
yeah,
not
about
really
that.
that far away.
No, it's really not. Okay, that is going to be it for today. We'll be back on Friday. I'm pretty sure Friday for a breakdown of the T20 on Friday. Then we'll be back Sunday. Then we're back Monday with a World Test Championship preview. And then Tuesday for the T20s. And then I'm on holiday, so there's no podcast for a week. But I'll talk about that closer to the time. Joe, thank you very much for joining me today. If you do want to check out Joe, all of his links will be down in the description or the show notes. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, leave a rating, leave a review, all the usual stuff. And I'll see you guys on Friday.